So listen, y'all know what it's about. About to get into this album, about to start promoting it. You know, you guys can listen to it on the app. What's the app called?
Hard Body Radio.
Hard Body Radio.
Or they can watch live on Hard Body Radio Facebook Live.
Oh, you can watch live on Hard Body Radio Facebook Live.
Or Baltimore Paparazzi YouTube channel.
Baltimore Paparazzi YouTube channel. You can do any of those. I'm at the studio, bro. At the radio studio, at the station. So yeah, in Baltimore. I'm in Baltimore. But yeah, y'all, we about to get into this album. Y'all know this is what it's all about all year. That's what it's all about this year, y'all. Y'all know that. The Perfect Gentleman. This is a fresh one in plastic. You still need a copy. Y'all need to holler at me. Y'all know, $10. It's well worth it. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. It's well worth it. And again, we about to get into it. We're gonna play a couple joints off of it, and we're gonna see what it is that we need to be doing. We need to be talking about, all right? So stick with us.
The homegirl's like, "Are you interviewing already?" Yes. Because everybody usually I end up starting late because everybody's late. And usually, sometimes I'm late because I work, or like I just started working again.
Understood.
So I don't get off until I'm done.
I got you.
Whew.
Well, we on time today.
Right.
That's a good sign.
Right.
That's a great sign. Put this album right here. I can't see it, but still. Y'all know what it is when y'all see that side on the part, that part on the side of the head. It's interview mode, so.
And welcome to In the Spotlight with your girl Lisa, the Baltimore Paparazzi. Hard Body Radio. Please forgive me. I sound like I don't know what. I'm under the weather right now, but I wasn't going to cancel an interview. Thug it through it. So this week I have somebody who I posted up probably about a couple months ago. If you wanted to interview with me, some things you had to do. Send me a message, send me an email to confirm the date, such and such, such and such. This gentleman, he wasted no time whatsoever. He jumped right on it.
Yeah.
Jay Esquire.
What's happening?
Thank you for coming through. Thank you for, wanting to come on my show.
Thank you for having me.
And not knowing anything about
Not a clue, but we here.
Who I am, what I do, or anything else. He actually gave me a signed autographed copy of his CD. And let me tell you, I am loving the professionalism. Oh my goodness.
You like it?
There's only one other person I've seen that did their album like this, and that is David Banner. All right. His is it's similar to this.
Word.
So yeah, I like I said, the days of giving somebody a CD with magic marker written on it should be over.
It shouldn't. Oh yeah, absolutely.
It should be over.
Yeah. We got better resources now. I think that we're in a better space now where we can all explore professionalism. Right.
Everything is easy to be able to get to. CD duplication, graphics, everything is just at a click of your keyboard. So, but this right here, I'm telling you, this is the first time that an underground artist, I hate saying local, because it gives that stereotype, but
up and coming.
There we go. An up and coming artist has presented, an album or anything in that case in such a professional manner.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And it's got 10 tracks on it?
10 tracks, 7 songs, 3 interludes.
Okay. So is this classified as an album or an EP?
This is an album.
Okay.
Definitely an album.
Because I know there's some, like when it gets to a certain number, it's considered an album.
In certain time. I think I beat the EP time by maybe 2 minutes.
Okay.
But either way, they build me like an album, so it's an album.
Oh yes. Yeah, I'm sure they did build you as an album. They was like,
This is an album.
Right. So I stopped calling these interviews a long time ago. Conversations between two people.
Awesome.
Because I do ask questions, but you learn more when you have a conversation with somebody.
Absolutely.
I used to ask the questions, who Who influenced you?
The typical.
Right, you know, and I do ask those sometimes, but usually that's to see, especially when I have younger artists in here, because I want to see where their mindset is.
Okay.
So if they tell me somebody that's, you know, that influences them, and I'm like, okay, I see where your mind is at as far as your music.
Right.
But if they say, you know, Jay-Z, Nas, you know, something like that, you know, it kind of gives me a scale, you know. So, let's see. Like I said, y'all have to forgive me. I'm just so out of it. Like, I haven't had any medication.
Understand.
I sound like I have, but I haven't really had any medication.
I'm here. We're going to slow walk this thing. We're going to do whatever you need. Take your time.
So,
we are here.
So, from my understanding, because like I said, I don't listen to any music until you get here and then I play it.
Okay.
Because I want you to get the initial reaction from me.
Okay.
So
I want you to turn it up too so we can feel it together.
Right.
Is that cool?
Right.
All right.
So I'm to understand that you sing.
I do.
For one, the name kind of led me to that as well.
Ah, okay.
The whole J Esquire.
Yes, ma'am.
How did that name come about?
Well, I've been using the name John. My first name is John. And then I was using J Brown. Last name is Brown. So they just weren't doing anything for me, clearly. And I felt like, okay, what kind of name can I use where I am taken seriously and respected, but it's still kind of youthful? And one day I was home. This was in maybe 2009, I think it was, and a law office commercial came on, and it was something Esquire, and right away I was like, J Esquire. So I'm calling people up like, yo, J Esquire, what do you think of the name? So everybody was like, yo, that's
right.
dope. And then this girl I was kind of talking to at the time, she was like, that's cute, boo. I was like, that's the name. So, and at that time, I had a production deal with it's called Three Sons Productions. Shout outs to them if they're watching or listening. And when I got that, we were already recording. But, I went in and I said, hey, my new name is J Esquire. And they were like, cool. So we just went from there, and it just stuck. Thought it was a name that sounded dope. You think of, those names. Like, I'm big on everything. Like, what does it mean to have this? When you think of a name like R. Kelly, you think of Luther Vandross. You know what I'm saying? Mary J. Blige.
Right.
You think of these names. The names hit you off top. These are hard hitting names. So I wanted a name that sounded like something.
Right.
So.
And the names that you just mentioned, even before they became quote unquote famous, like when Mary J first came out, it was like, oh, new artist Mary J. Blige, and you're like, wow, name,
right? Yeah.
Like R. Kelly. I knew R. Kelly from R. Kelly and Public Announcement.
That's right. Yeah.
A lot of people don't even remember Public Announcement.
He's actually in the group before them called, I think it was called MGM. Something Gifted Men.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. They had won like a competition or something.
Right.
So, yeah.
So and I'm big on names because I get people in here, and if they've got a name that's different, I need to know where you came up with that. How did you come up with that? So, I like names that are different for that fact because, I know somebody, an artist that, now he moved down to Atlanta named Little Tay. Got, big name here in Baltimore. It was played on the radio, everything else. But there's a lot of Little Tays.
Right.
Oh, I know Little Tay, yeah. Little Tay, yeah, he from over west. No, this Little Tay's from over east.
Right.
So I like somebody who's got, and J Esquire is one of those names that I don't think you're not going to be confused with somebody else.
Right. Believe me, I looked it up just to make sure it wasn't a million J Esquires out there, and it wasn't. So I was definitely like, okay, we can roll with this. This can work.
Right.
So.
Because I do know somebody named John.
Everybody knows a John.
He's actually an artist from Mississippi.
Right.
And it's called. His name is John the Phenomenon. And I've had him in my show.
But you know what? I think that not like talking about it now, hearing that, I can hear where I was in my mind at that time, because I was using that name at 18, 19 years old. You know what I mean? And, you know, here we are some years later, and it's J Esquire. So that shows the growth mentally and professionally and musically, in my opinion. So I think I think it fit. It makes sense.
So when did you start singing?
I started attempting at 2. It goes back to, you know, loving, like, I have an aunt that she had like every major album out at the time. And so I was always inspired by watching her and my mom dancing in the living room. And I was always fascinated by watching the record spin. And they loved Luther Vandross. It goes back to Luther. And I was trying to sing so amazing, so bad, because I wanted them to like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was about that for me. And then I recorded my first time. I was 5. I was like on this children's record. My dad had got me on, and then I started writing at 8. I started writing at 8 years old. I knew when I heard Jodeci that I started gravitating to singing, to really wanting to do it. And by the time they did come and talk to me, I was like just a sponge to everything at that point. Like that era was just so much, not even so much music, but it was so much innovative music, so many innovative artists. So I was just a huge fan of Jodeci and what they were doing. And I started really, I decided I was going to be a singer when I heard Drew Hill's album Into the Drew. Okay. I was like, I got to do this. I got to do it.
Are you from Baltimore?
I am. That's
okay, so that kind of like Drew Hill, and they're from Baltimore, you know.
Yeah, and for me, it was, the reason for it was I wanted to make people feel how those artists made me feel. So it was always about feeling for me, you know what I'm saying? So that was where the love for it came. And then I picked back up at writing at 14, and by the time I graduated high school, I had written upwards of like 300 songs.
Wow.
Every day, I wrote every day. Every single day. I did not miss a day. Every day.
Wow.
Whole songs, half songs, interludes, ideas, whatever, you name it, I wrote it. I even used to write my thank yous out for my album. And then I didn't even put a thank you in this album. Too many people, I didn't want to forget nobody, so.
Right, that's the worst feeling, is like, because like I used to tell people, you know, like artists that I come across that I really have supported over the years, and I tell them all the time, when you get up there to accept that Grammy or to accept that award, just say all your thank yous to God, to your mother, to your grandmother, to your whoever, and at the end say, and thank you to Lisa the Baltimore Paparazzi for believing in me. That's all I asked for.
Bam.
Because you know, but you know, a lot of I've seen people, like when we had the Crown Awards, and I won a few awards for, you know, photography supporter, and I would forget, you know, it was a big.
Man, it's a moment. That's the thing about it. It's a moment, and you waited so long to have these moments that in that moment everything just escapes you. You know what I mean?
They recorded me. It's actually up on YouTube where I won. I think it was Supporter of the Year. I can't remember which award it was, but they recorded me doing my speech, and I'm like, I don't remember saying any of that. Only thing I do remember is being up there, and Ooh, you know, rest in peace, Ooh, was there. He was like, you got pictures of my stomach. She got pictures of my stomach, y'all. And I was like, yes, Ooh, I got pictures of your stomach. Yeah. And that's the only thing out of that whole speech, that, you know, that whole thank you that I even remember saying, because you're in that moment, and you know, I want everybody to succeed. I want everybody to have that moment where they're standing on stage and being able to thank.
It's a beautiful thing, and I think that success is defined by the definer. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are people who believe that success is in numbers. You know, there are people that believe that it is in impact. Success is in quality. Success is in quantity. So I think that it all just depends on what your heart's desire and your definition of success is. But when you get in those moments, a lot of times you tend to just be like, I don't even know what to say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, understood. Absolutely.
Right. So you said by the time you graduated high school, you did like 300 songs, you know, pieces and parts and
whole songs mostly.
Right.
So maybe 320, 330 with the pieces.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So because I've never come across you in all my time of being in this scene, and I came in. I was brought into the scene in 2006.
Okay.
I didn't go to my first show until 2008.
Okay.
But since 2008, I've been going to shows and whatnot, and we've talked, and we know a lot of the same people.
Absolutely.
You know, which is you know that shows you how big Baltimore is and how small it is at the same time. So, where are some places that you have, you know, performed at, or you know, you have graced the stage with your presence? Because I know we talked about you did the one song in 5 seasons.
I did 5 seasons. I did Artscape, and I think it was in 15 we did the pop-up show. We created our own show at Artscape. That was dope. Shout outs to Millie at the Incredible Creation for that. Just one of those blank moments. I mean, does anybody else a mic? I've probably been through that at least once. I did Why Not. I did the Why Not stage. I've done that probably 3 or 4 times. I don't know. You know what? Honestly, I've done a lot of shows out of state. More than anything. I've done New York, Philly, VA, DC.
And do you find, because I know I find that a lot of artists from out of state get love. They seem like they get more love out of state than they actually do at home. And I've witnessed it myself, being at, you know, me traveling and going different places.
Absolutely, that's exactly what happens.
What's been your favorite place to perform at?
It is definitely between New York and Philly.
Okay, I like I love New York. We used to go to Brooklyn like once a month. I performed at I can't think of the first place I performed. I can't even think of the name of the place. But then I did, I've done the Sugar Bar a lot, which is owned by Ashford and Simpson. Oh, okay.
And Valerie Simpson happens to be my cousin.
Oh, okay.
So, I've never seen her when I'm up there, and I haven't seen her since I was a kid. But there, and then I did the Apollo.
Oh, really? How was that experience?
It was amazing.
Was it?
Political. But it was amazing as well.
Yeah, I kind of figured that is kind of
the politics of it was like, I see what this is. Aha, where's the spoon? But it was still it was an amazing experience. It's something to, you know, put on the resume. You know,
right. I just seen where
it was sold out too.
Richard Pryor's son got booed off stage on the Apollo.
Wow.
Right.
Was he funny?
I didn't watch like his.
This is recent?
I just heard about it probably within the past few months, I think.
Oh yeah, let me tell you something. The Apollo will let you know if you're good, if you're bad, or if they just don't like you. Because I mean, you can just be from another place and they just don't like you because you're not from where they're from, or you look different, or you know what I'm saying? So they aren't particularly, they're not biased. They're not. I mean, they are. They can be. It's what they like, what strikes them. Because somebody can get up there and not be a great singer, but sing something that they like.
Right.
So that keeps them in the running. somebody could get up there and be amazing, but they're from Connecticut. And they're like, we don't like Connecticut.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it just all depends. And then also, I mean, I could say a few other things as far as, you know, how things go that I saw went down, as far as how, you know, things that people have chosen and things happen. But it was we didn't have any problems on the stage. So
right, but it was definitely one of those experiences that you can put under your belt.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, listen, I'm not an emotional guy, but walking up on that stage for the first time and understanding that this is where James Brown was, this is where the Jackson 5 were, this is where everybody. I grew up watching the Apollo.
Right.
Like everybody, it came on at 8 o'clock. You know what I mean? On Saturday nights, I had to be there to watch it.
Right.
So to see where legends were made and to be able to be on the same stage as those legends, that's heavy for me. I'm a sentimental guy, so those type of things, man.
That's kind of like how, like the first time that we went up to Brooklyn, and as soon as we got off of the bus and we got off the subway in Brooklyn, and I'm just like, you could just feel the hip hop. You know, you could just feel, like, I can't explain it, like I could just feel it. So I could just imagine walking into this iconic building where all these memories and all these performances are ingrained in the floor and in the wood, you know, and the walls and the ceiling. Like when you walk in there, you could just feel it.
You could feel it. You could feel it. And the band was amazing. And, you know, you just looking up. And you just looking around.
It is like, I can't believe I used to watch people. Yeah. And now I'm here and looking out.
And you get that thought like, I'm going to kill him at 8 o'clock. It's going to go down. Like I can't go back home and not feel like I didn't do what I came to do.
Right. So
we got a lot of love. I had actually sang with a young lady out of the Bronx. Shout outs to Michelle Sings, and we did our thing. Like it was really, really good. But I knew it was gonna be good. That was the first time I'd ever did a show where there was like no nerves involved. I just knew it.
Right.
I felt it. You know what I mean? When they set those mics up, I looked at that mic and you could see the little spotlights hitting it. I just was like, it's go time. I knew like you boo us, you just a hater.
Right.
Like, that was how I thought at that time.
Right.
So. But it was a great experience.
Well, that's awesome. I don't think have I ever talked to anybody who's went and performed at the Apollo? I don't think I have. If I have, they haven't talked about it. But yeah, like I said, I know a lot of people that have gone to different places, different states. We went to Houston and New Orleans twice last year. Baltimore Big Steve and Fat Boy DZ. DZ is in Houston, and Steve is from here. And that's where I met. The first time we went down, Mia X was at the record shop we were at. Okay. And
this was in
New Orleans. Okay. And Dan and Nick from Instagram, the We Live Baby, they were in the record store. Okay. So I got to meet them and talk to them. I didn't even know it was Mia X.
Yeah,
she looks like totally different. She's older, but she looks better.
Glamorous now.
Right. Yeah, so, Steve was all like,
I think she's like a chef too now.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But she was a wonderful, wonderful person. He was like, I want a picture with her. I want a picture with her. He was like, you don't even know who that is. I was like, no, who is it? He was like, Mia X. I was like, no, it's not. So he was like, I want a picture. I was like, excuse me. He would like a picture with you. Because he was that caught up in the moment. And then when we went down in June of last year, we were in Houston getting ready to travel back to going to New Orleans. And I look on Instagram and I said, David Banner's going to be at Peaches? And Steve was like, oh, well, we better get there. I was like, yes, we have to get there.
Yeah.
He in the middle. There was a lady in front of me, and right as he was talking to her, Raheem Devon walked in. So he stopped the meet and greet, and Raheem and him were talking to the crowd. They were talking about being blackballed in the music the music scene, and and I'm like, I got to go all the way to New Orleans to meet somebody who's from right down the road. Because Raheem is from down in D.C.
I tell you, there's a studio down in like Indian Hill, Maryland, that he records a lot of his stuff out of, and I have been kind of rocking with them on and off for a minute, and I would always just miss him or end up being in this room. And
he's in that room.
You know what I mean? So I've never really. I think I met him one time when he first came out, and it was like a really quick thing. But
yeah, he stuck around, and like everybody's going up to him like, oh, can I have a picture? Can I have a picture with you? All this stuff. And I'm the type person, I've met celebrities. I cussed out Keith Murray one night because he pulled me on stage. He was pulling all the girls on stage, and he pulled me on stage. And I told him the next time he did, I was kicking his butt. But I didn't say butt. I was fighting him.
I understand.
I was fighting him.
I understand.
And he just he laughed at it. And I'm like, who in the world does that but me? But
that's what makes you you.
I don't like. I've had the opportunity to meet like a lot of artists, and the top lock's locked. I've got to meet a lot of artists, and I don't get like all up, you know what I mean? But I did when I met local artists. Because the local artists, like the first time that I actually met Comp, he had been on Def Jam. He had been on Def Jam Vendetta, the game, and he responded to me on MySpace. And you look for the bathroom. It's through those two doors, and then you got to go in the hallway, and it's the door right there on your right hand side. The light switch is on the outside. You got to go through this way, honey. But
thank you.
Yeah. So I figured that's what they were looking for when they were trying to go out the door. But the first time that he responded back, I was like, oh my God, it's come. Like, I'm just so excited. First time I met Scar Akbar. First time I met Huli Shalom. These were artists that I'd heard on 92Q before I knew that there was an underground scene. I didn't know anything about an underground scene. I guess I don't even know where. Huh? I'm doing my show, baby. I gotta know hi. She done told me hi like 4 times. She come in here and told me, I'm just checking to see how your day is going.
Oh, that's sweet.
She is. She's a sweet little girl. But like, to me, like these artists, like everybody was like all fawning all over Raheem Devon. He just kept looking at me, and I kept looking at him. So finally, I was like, "Excuse me, can I get a picture with you?" He was like, "Sure." He was really just a down to earth kind of guy, just like David Banner was a down to earth kind of guy. Like
I think you become. I told somebody this: when you appear to be untouchable at times, it's the times that people want to touch you.
Right.
If someone sees Raheem Devon all the time in the supermarket, it's not gonna matter.
Right. That's.
He goes to Chicago and does that, and he has a fan there, fans there. He's gonna, this is gonna look, extraordinary to them.
I mean, I was shocked to see him, but it was also during Essence Festival, so there was a lot of people down there. But it was just like when I got to meet David Banner, I was like, I came all the way from Baltimore. He was like, he gave me a great big old hug, and he was just so personable. I think a lot of people put a lot of these artists up on pedestals, like they're above reproach, and that's why when things happen negatively, people will go, oh my God, and like you forget that these are people, they're humans. You know, like if you do something negative, nobody's going to think anything of it. But if you know, this album right here, Imperfect Gentleman, somebody sees that and you start building this bigger, you know, you start getting this notoriety, you're going here, you're traveling here, you're performing on Jimmy Kimmel, or, you know what I mean? And you start, you know, going up that ladder. If you do something negative, then people will be like, oh my God, and they start judging you.
Absolutely.
But people forget you're human. You're just a person.
You'll never look that way to them. You become, I think you become magnified.
Right.
You know what I mean? You become
human.
You become humanly magnified.
Right.
You know, you live in the TV. You live on the CD. You live on the radio.
Right.
You live on the stage. You live in the tour bus. You eat, sleep, breathe, whatever your profession is.
Right.
So people sometimes, because that's all they ever know of you.
Right.
That's all you ever are to them. I mean, you think about this. Your mom is a superhero to you.
Right.
Growing up, right? She does everything for you. She birthed you. She created you. All of these things. So if she ever does, the first time you ever see her do anything out of character, you're like, you're normal.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when you were a kid, you go to the supermarket and you see your teacher in there. You're like, you eat too?
Right. The first time I think, one of the first times that I seen one of my teachers not in a school setting, it was, I think, probably my dad playing softball. And the teacher was playing softball as well. And it just kind of, I was in like middle school, I think. And it was just like, he plays softball? I would have never thought that he played softball. You know?
And you know what it is? Because when you see them in these places, it becomes a human connection.
Right.
It becomes an experience. Because you know them for what they do. You don't ever think of the fact that they do anything besides that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not that it can't happen. It just never crossed your mind, because if you saw Jay-Z today, in your mind he's Jay-Z. He's not Sean.
Right.
You know, in his head, he's Sean all day, every day.
Right.
You understand me? So I think that it gets to a point where, you know, again, it's just magnified at this point.
Right. It's like before Facebook, we had MySpace. And even like in the beginning of Facebook, like a lot of the artists that I'm familiar with, that I'm friends with, or, you know, that I go and see at these shows, like I said, like when I didn't know, before 2006, I didn't know that there was an underground scene. I don't know where I thought industry artists came from. I guess I just thought one day they popped up.
They were mail order.
They just popped up.
Well, but you know, we used to think that, like, you know, celebrity was just this thing back at that time where artists just kind of showed up. You know what I mean? If you weren't paying attention, it was like a 2-year thing. If you weren't paying attention from starting in 1989, then by 1991 you wouldn't know where Boyz II Men came from. You didn't know where Jodeci came from necessarily. They just showed up, in your opinion. You know what I mean? You don't realize
everything that they were doing to get to that spot.
I don't think that you were supposed to know those things at that time. I think that you were supposed to feel like these guys, these men and these women were special entities that God blessed us with, and we need to celebrate them for what they did.
Because like I said, like before that, I didn't, like when I came into the scene, and I'm hearing this music from these different artists, and I'm like, they need to be on the radio. Like these artists need to be on the radio because there's so many wonderful artists. I've gotten to hear only a few singers. Predominantly what I hear is hip hop. So I've been able to hear a few artists who actually sing. Karan Johnson, Rob Seven. Those two have been like my ultimate like favorite two people. My friend Kelly Lowe, he doesn't sing anymore. He became a family man. Him and his wife just had another baby this year. So he's just being a family man. But he is another one of those people that I used to tell him. We would be on the phone talking. I'd be like, "Can you come over here and sing me to sleep and then go home?" Because I love that, and like my ultimate test for artists who sing, because I tell people all the time, I can go back here in this studio and I can lay down a track. The engineer can tweak it to make me sound fabulous, but when I get on that microphone, I get on that microphone on that stage. I'm not gonna sound like what that engineer made me sound like. So that's always been my ultimate test with artists when they get on that stage. I don't like to sing over your vocals or to rap over your vocals.
That's a no-no.
To rap over your vocals.
That's a no-no. That's a no-no.
But have you seen this?
Oh yeah. Now you see that
a lot. I said I blame Rick Ross. Because the first time I said something about people rapping over the vocals, well, Rick Ross does it.
I blame the dawning of mediocrity in music. It's become just easy. You know? It used to be this thing where you had to artists used to feel special. Right. You know what I mean? You felt the talent. You understood why they were there. Even if you weren't a fan, you understood why they were there. Right. You know what I mean? And now it's just kind of like, It's true. I mean, because like I find myself now, because there's so much music out there now, because of the internet. That's another thing.
There's so much music.
You don't have the time to invest in an artist anymore. The public doesn't. The label will, I guess they'll put the money up or whatever it is that they're going to do. But if your album comes out this week, by next week, something else in your genre is going to come out and it'll take your place. Because the attention span, because now it's also not a luxury. Because it used to be you had to wait, you had to go buy the album, you had to sit on a single for a couple of months. You had to build this anticipation up. You had to go in the store. You had to spend your money, leave the store, open it up, read the credits, put the CD in or the tape in or the record on, and there began the experience. It's not really an experience anymore. It's just you leisurely discovering new music. Right. And either it sticks or it doesn't.
There for a while, I just resisted streaming music. I don't know why. I just didn't want to deal with it. Now, I have Google Play. And it's like almost every day something, somebody was talking about, was it when Pusha T's album came out? And Kanye's album came out. And this one's album came out. And this one's album came out. And this one. And I'm like, I'm so bombarded, I can't keep up. And I've always been the type of person that I want to listen to an album more than once because I know there's something that I missed. J. Cole's albums, I have to listen to a few times because I'm always missing something with him because the way his metaphors are. So I'm always missing. You can't do, and then like, somebody's like, oh, did you hear so-and-so's? Did you hear so-and-so's? I'm like, no. No, I didn't. I didn't hear it. Like, because
it's hard.
It's so bombarded with industry music. And now, because the underground artists have the ability now to do the same exact thing, they can get on these streaming services where before it was hard for them to get their music out there. Now they can get their music on iTunes and Google Play and Spotify and everything else. So that's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because now you're going to be able to have your music out there for people other than who are around you can happen upon. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like my daughter was a Kevin Gates fan way before Kevin Gates became a household name, mm-hmm. per se. Because I didn't. She was like, I'm like, who are you listening to? She was like, Kevin Gates, Ma, you need to listen to him. No, I don't. I don't need to listen to him.
Right.
She found him on a mixtape app that she had on her phone. Mm-hmm. Because when she would get tired of listening to music she had on her phone, she'd go to this mixtape app and listen to different mixtapes. And one of them happened to have Kevin Gates on there. Mm-hmm. She became a fan. Now I'm a fan. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm a big Kevin Gates fan. Okay. I had made mention of whether this was the album or EP. Mm-hmm. There was some kind of discussion on social media about all these EPs that people are putting out. And my thought and what I stated was, how many times have you gotten an album from somebody and there's only like 2 songs on the whole album of 15 songs that are any good? Mm-hmm. Be happy with the 7-song EP where you can listen to majority of those songs.
I think it should be considered an album after Phil. I'm gonna tell you why. Because if you go back, I'm a vinyl collector too. Mm-hmm. If you go back, I don't care who it was, I don't care if it was rock, R&B, jazz, or whatever have you. These albums were 5 to 9 tracks. Right. You know what I mean? And when it got to the 90s, what ended up happening is CDs had more room, mm-hmm. than vinyl. So whether they might say, look, we got 65 minutes that we can fill the CD up with. Mm-hmm. So they started putting a whole bunch of songs on it. Right. Not that they were even their greatest songs, it was just album fillers. Right. So that's what tends to happen, and I think that now people are getting back to being more accurate about what goes on an album. Right. I mean, the same thing with mine. Mine is 7 songs, 3 interludes. It wasn't that I didn't have any more songs. I just needed these were the best songs, and this would switch up the game a little bit. And then I believe in the number 7 being the number of completion. So I looked at it like that too. Like, this is a sign that So that was. But you're right. You would get an album and be like,
you're just skipping.
I only like the prelude to another song, or I like 2 songs, but there's 19 songs on here. Right. And you spend, but I'm gonna even say it. Everybody we love the '90s music and it's nostalgic and stuff, but you keep it real. There was some whackness then too. Oh yeah. It'd be 24 songs on the album. You like, I like 5. Right. So it's 19 songs I don't care about.
And that was my whole thought process as far as, everybody was complaining because Pusha T put out an EP and he ain't put out a project in so long and this, that, and the third. And I was like, Kevin Gates gave us 3 songs, but he gave us 2 videos for those 3 songs.
I mean, Black Thoughts album is 5.
Right. But I bet you those 5 songs are hitting hard.
They are. I wish he would have at least done 2 more. Right. Only because 5 to me represents midway, and you're taking me up. We are starting to reach cruising altitude. You ever flown to Atlanta?
No.
As soon as you reach cruising altitude, you are landing in Atlanta. That's how quick the ride is. So just when you're getting comfortable and you finally get in position to enjoy the ride, you got your drink and your peanuts and your wheat thins, you landed. Right. So that's kind of what that does for me. It's like you're taking me there, but then it's done. Like it's right. It's like flying from here to DC. Like it's over. Like
flying from here to DC would
if even that.
Right.
16 seconds.
So who we talked about you listening to Luther Vandross growing up. Is that like somebody who influenced?
Oh yeah, definitely. But none influenced me more than Jodeci. Jodeci was everything to me.
I think Jodeci was just, it was something about them.
You'll never get another one.
No.
Never.
You know, I remember seeing, you know, hearing their songs when I was in Job Corps. I was with a Job Corps in Virginia, and I was in an all-girls Job Corps, and it was girls from Philly, D.C., Baltimore. There was some from down south, but there's primarily, you know, so when Jodeci hit, like all the girls were playing Jodeci in the dorm, you know, and I just remember like the first time I seen the video of them in the desert.
Oh, cry for you.
I was like, I know they hot. I know they gotta be sweating to death.
With leather on, right?
Right.
Yeah.
With no shirts
that
on.
Statement was dope.
And Come and Talk to Me.
My favorite song ever.
You know, and like they had hit after hit after hit. And even with JoJo and KC doing Lately. You know what I mean? Like it was, you know, it was they had that effect, not just on females,
on males, right?
On males too, because they had that chemistry.
My barber was the first person I ever knew that had flat on my leg. Yeah, and he would be playing it. He had the tape. He would be playing it when I would go get my hair cut. We used to live in this duplex as a kid, and we used to. They lived down the bottom. They lived where the basement part was, but they had a basement on the side.
Right.
So he cut in the basement, and we would just. I mean, he would play it, and I was just like, "This is amazing. You know, what is this? How do you do what they're doing? Like, what are these? I never heard background vocals like that. I never had heard. I had never really heard sounds that they used the way that they would use. I never heard an R&B singer is big and almost testify with that kind of swag at that time. You know what I mean? Everything was about the smooth out singer. And, I mean, just and then some of their subject matter was just way left from the way everybody else was doing it. Right. You know what I mean? Their idea of love was different. You know, and that was what I loved about them. That they were them. Right. You know what I mean? And I don't even like to compare them and Boys to Men. Like, they're not even the same group. Right. You know. That's what I was thinking when I was talking earlier. Like, TMZ. I was watching TMZ because that's like a guilty pleasure for me. I don't watch and love and hip hop and all that nonsense, but TMZ is like a guilty pleasure for me. Okay. And they were talking about how the boy bands, NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, people would like try to make compete. They have them compete against one another. And I was just thinking when I was talking that you couldn't even put Jodeci, Boys to Men, and Dru Hill because they were not the same. Yes, they were they were formulated the same. Right, but they were. I put Dru Hill with Jodeci and 112 with Boys to Men because they were their predecessors. That's the only way that I can compare them. Other than that, right? I don't. Because I remember one of the first songs I remember hearing from Dru Hill was is it Tell Me? Tell Me was the first single. Yeah. Yeah, Tell Me, and then Sleeping in My Bed. That's right. That one, the video got me with that one, but that song, like, they were touching base on stuff. Just like Jodeci. So you know what I mean? I don't think I've ever heard a singer or a rapper come out and say that. Never. So you're having my baby. I mean, like, even the premise of Come and Talk to Me. Like, I'm super shy. You had that before, but he's telling her, like, come here. Right. You didn't have that at the time. Right. Like, they were shy in the flower. Like, I'm too cool to show that I'm shy. That's how I feel on the inside. Right. You'll never know. And that was what I loved about them. They had impact and statement, and they were culturally impactful. It wasn't just like, I rock with Boys to Men, right? Right. But they weren't a cultural impact. they were successful. They weren't.
I think
the impact that Jodeci was.
They were kind of, to me, they were kind of commercial.
Oh, very. But that wasn't even their. I don't even think that was their thing. Like their first album was just as raw as the first Jodeci album, and then they just came in and smoothed them on out. But to me, Jodeci was a culture, in my opinion. You know, guys wanted to dress like them,
and they tried.
I did. I was in elementary school. And I used to walk around, my mother used to be pissed. I would walk around with my shirt unbuttoned. It's that part that like started right here, like right there. And then I had the step, high top fade like them. And I would put on my boots. It'd be in the summertime, I had my boots on. My jackets had to either look of leather or it had to be black. Because I was just such a fan of them. Just their movement. It wasn't particularly them as people.
Right.
But their movement was so amazing to me. I had never seen that. And I thought everybody was corny. I mean, I didn't think Boyz II Men was corny, but I always saw and heard where everything else was influenced by them.
Right.
They became the standard of R&B.
Right.
That was the amazing part of it for me.
So, who are you listening to like now? Is there any artists? Because I really like, as far as R&B goes, I really can't even say any, like, because I don't even listen to the radio anymore.
Who am I listening to? Myself.
Of course.
A whole lot of that. Not even always on purpose, but I've been giving things a go. You know, I just checked out the new Neo album. That's cool. The girl Ella May, the Boot Up record.
Yeah, I just actually heard that. Because like I said, I really don't listen to the radio, and if I do, it's 95.9.
Right. I listen to that a lot too.
Yeah.
But I can't really think of who am I listening to? I'm listening to Fonte. I'm listening to Black Thought. Still listening to the Pusha album. But I'm old school with it.
Right.
Anything. I play Jodeci like he just came out. I play Rufus and Shaka Khan. We listen to Michael Jackson a lot. Like I'm more of a fan of his music than his imagery. That's
right.
Cool. I like that. That's dope.
Right.
But I always feel like people aren't paying enough attention to his contributions in music.
Right.
I'm still listening to Usher Confessions like it is game.
I think that's
Carl Thomas.
I think
Black Street. Yeah.
I think some of like, especially Usher, that is timeless music.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. Like it'll. I'll be listening to that when I'm 80 years old. I'm sure.
Yeah, that album. That summed up what I was at the time. So I think that I think that music can have a timepiece to it.
Right. But
it's a timepiece that will always that's forever going to be there. Like people are always going to cheat. People are always going to have babies out of this affair.
Right.
People are always going to break up with somebody. People are always going to be. The club is a culture again, right? So people are going to be in the club for a long time. And people are going to be, guys are going to be players, and women are going to be a certain kind of way. So if you timestamp it with something that will always be relevant, you're going to have a classic. That's a classic in my opinion.
Right.
Where I know that this is never going to sound dated to me.
Right, because I still listen to What's the 411, Mary J. Blige.
Listen, I just got another copy of that on vinyl last week. They repressed it. I didn't want the reissue. I wanted the original 1992 one, and I got it. But that's true. I'm still listening to the first 3 Mary albums. I'm still listening to the first 3 Drew Hill albums. I'm still listening to the first Cisco album. I'm still listening to Donny Hathaway. I'm still listening to Luther. I'm still listening to Guy. I'm still listening to Marvin Gaye, Teddy P. I'm still listening to the forefathers,
right,
and for mothers that really kicked this thing off and will forever be. They are solidified and synonymous with great music. That's what I'm still listening to.
See, and that's like when people talk about, like I said, because I'm primarily hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Even back to like, because one of my favorite songs by Luther Vandross is "I'd Rather." That is like my all-time favorite Luther Vandross song.
Cool.
Like that's my go-to song because it kind of it sums things up for me sometimes.
Gotcha.
So when it comes to me listening to R&B, that's why I say I don't know who's even relevant right now in the R&B aspect. Because I don't listen to the radio. Like I said, I did hear the Booed Up song the other night when I was in the car. I just happened to be, I think 92Q happened to be on or something. But like my homegirl, she loves SZA. I've listened to SZA songs. It's not something that they're good, but it's not, I don't know. I guess
it's not your preference,
right? It's just something that just doesn't hit me,
right?
So when I listen to, like I said, when I listen to R&B, I go to 95.9, and that's what I listen to, and
R&B used to be human. R&B used to be that, and country music. I think used to be the music that you went to when you needed honest feeling,
right?
When you were in love, when you were falling out of love, when you're happy, when you're crying, when you're getting up out of that funk. Those are the records you listen to. Everything else is kind of meant to saturate and to make you feel it's like a sugar rush, and that's cool. I ain't got no problem with that. Everything has its respective place. What I'll never do is I'll never take my time out to denigrate what anyone else does.
Right.
And what I never do is, I mean, I got my opinions, and then what I'll never do is, what I always feel is, you never know what anyone's gonna like.
Right.
You can put out a single today, you can put out an album, and you got a single on it, but that's not even a song that people like.
Right.
I mean, it could be a hit for you, you get plaque for it and everything. But when the people walk up to you, they never mention that song.
Right.
So you just never know.
And I've asked this.
I think that's beautiful.
I asked this of some artists before. Is there a song that you have put out that you really didn't like, but everybody say that's the song, that's the song, that's the song, and you're like, I don't even like this song.
Yeah, actually, there's a song on my album called "What She Do," which is track 2. It's not that I didn't like it. We were kind of rushing with the mix, so we didn't get to. It didn't particularly completely meet my approval, but that was only because we were pressed for, couldn't keep pushing it back. So, but people love the song. I mean, it's dope. Don't get me wrong, but it's not necessarily mine.
Right.
And there's also a record on my album called "Say You Love Me," featuring Parker, that people go crazy for, and I like it, of course. But you just never know. But to me, that's the beauty of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't want the first single on my album is "Sexy With It," right? I don't want that to be the only song people say I like that.
Right.
That sucks. That's my first song, and that's the only one you like. So I put out. You have 6 other songs to choose from on my album, and none of them met the demand of the first song.
Yeah, because I asked that, and it's funny the answer that I get from people when I ask them that, because it's always the same. It's always the same answer.
You never know. You never know what's gonna blow up. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's songs that you love by an artist that it might be the last. It might be at the end of the album, and you're going to track. I mean, I remember Drew Hill with the end of the Drew album, "Beauty."
Right.
It was like my favorite joint on the album. You're passing. How deep is your love? You're passing. You were everything. It's right before these are the times. I would stay on that record for hours. I think it's a great thing to have a favorite song on the album, but when all you've contributed is that one song that people like, that's a problem.
Right. So, and that like "How Deep Is Your Love" was like my favorite my favorite song by them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I like "Beauty."
No, it's not.
But it's.
I think it depends on your frequency.
Right.
I think it depends on what your bounce is. We go back to Jodeci. There are people who, most of us love their slow songs, but then there are people that say "Gotta Love" is my favorite Jodeci record. That was a big record over in Europe for them. You may be listening to Nas, and you think all these prolific records by Nas, and then somebody, you be like, it ain't hard to tell, and One Love, and Rewind. Somebody says, man, my favorite song by him is Hate Me Now.
My favorite song by him is Daughters.
A lot of women's favorite song by him is Daughters.
That whole album.
I don't know if I have a favorite Nas record.
That, like, you know, I like Hate Me Now. You know, and one reason why I like that song.
Even if I knew Nas, I'd tell him that I had never liked that song.
The one reason why I like it is because it caused controversy. I think that's just.
Didn't like it because I think that the caliber of rapper he is. Okay, Jay-Z could rap over that, and to me, Jay is the illest.
Right.
But he has that kind of appeal where he can appeal to the underground and the masses.
Right.
I think that Nas, having platinum albums and stuff, there's still more of an underground feel coming from him.
Right.
Than not. So for me, to hear him over a Primo beat is amazing. To hear him on like gritty, grimy records, I love that. So when stuff sounds clean by him, I'm like when he did You Owe Me, I'm like, I get it.
Right.
But it's like, I didn't need this.
Right.
It's not bad.
But that album that Daughters is on,
Life Is Good.
I listened to that from beginning to end. Even the song that he had with even the song that he had with Rick Ross.
It's one of his best albums.
I really like that song.
If I had to say his top three, in my opinion, it would be It Was Written first, Illmatic, Stillmatic, but Life Is Good would definitely be four.
See, I'm like, I like storytellers.
Yeah.
So when somebody's telling me a story, and I can feel it, I like I said, I like relatable stuff. Like I said, I'd rather, by Luther Vandross, I relate to it. I have related to it time and time again. So that's one of those, you know, I just love music that tell me stories. If I could close my eyes and make a video in my mind of what I'm listening to, okay. That's why I can't get with the new music that's happening, because I was like, I'll go into an epileptic seizure because it's just like flashing everywhere, you know.
I always say that it sounds like when they did the mix, they just turned all the levels up.
Right.
There's no dynamic to a lot of it. And you honestly, maybe, I guess not the newer generation of kids or whatever, but you need dynamics when you listen to music. Think about it, if you listen to, they tell you to put classical music on for kids, babies, because it's dynamic. It turns up, it turns down, things come from here, come from there, they go up, they go down. And that was the way music was formatted to be, you know, and then even in mixes, you know, sounds turn up, they turn down, they come up a little more, vocals do certain things they're supposed to. But when everything is like tuner and is thick, and then all of the sounds, like the producer and the artist are competing now.
Yeah.
You know, it used to just kind of be a thing where the vocal sat right here and it came out like that, and then all of the music was around it. Now it's like they're right here, so you don't even know what to listen to.
Right.
You know, you're like, and everybody's okay with being like each other. That's the part that, out of everything that happens, that's the part that saddens me, is that everybody is cool with not being themselves.
Or not being original.
Right. They don't care to... People sound like the Migos so much it makes people hate the Migos.
Right.
So when the Migos come out, you're like... As opposed to understanding that that's their record, their style.
Right.
You thought you were listening to the Migos the whole time. No, you're listening to 50 other artists that sound like them.
And that's always been my thing with the underground scene. When I go to shows and I see people on stage that they sound like the group that just the person that just got off stage. Like everything, the way they flow, even down to the content of what they're rapping about. So I'm like, why would anybody want to listen to the same thing? Like I said, people were so busy trying to sound like Lil Wayne back in the day. You know, when Lil Wayne was popping, everybody was trying to sound like Lil Wayne. They was trying to rap like Lil Wayne. They was trying to have that voice like Lil Wayne. I'm like, why when the industry already has Lil Wayne?
I wish that labels did. See, labels, a particular label only wanted one of every kind of artist.
Right.
But then the other labels around it wanted that artist because it was successful. I've always hated that because it's like, give them a chance to be who they are.
Right.
Because then what ends up happening is, you give, say Tupac had lived and Biggie had lived, you would have had a whole bunch of thugs and players come out when they did. So then when they come back around and doing an album, well, at one point they were so strong it didn't matter, but when they come back around, they've got to think of something totally different,
right.
Because everyone has been a thug. And he would have been like, dang, that's my tag.
Right.
Let me cover this tattoo up. And Big was a player, so now he's like, nah, I gotta go back to the hoodies because everybody's a player now.
Right.
So I've always, kind of not liked that formula myself. I think it's a great thing to be influenced and influencer, but when people are like just basically just ripping you for all it. And some people are so amazing that it doesn't matter. Like everybody ripped Michael Jackson, but it just didn't stop Michael from being
right.
But what I've never liked about that is like they never bit the artistry, they bit the vision,
right?
Because it looks successful.
I was actually playing a Chris Brown video earlier, and the little girl that came to the door,
mm-hmm.
her and her sister came in here, and her sister was like, talking about he's a Michael Jackson impersonator because he tried to be just like Michael Jackson, and which as far as his dancing and all, and Chris Brown he tells everybody, he's told everybody that was a big influence on him and how he dances. Mm-hmm. But I think you're right, because as far as biting his style, his dance moves and all like that, but not his artistry. You'll never be able to say, oh well, he sounds just like Michael Jackson, or he got that, he got that flow from Michael Jackson, he got that from. There'll never be another person like that. Mm-hmm. Never.
Not with that dynamic, not with that impact.
Never. And that's like when I was talking about originality. Like,
can I say something real quick? This is starting to become one of my favorite interviews. Mm-hmm. Shout outs to you. Shout outs to you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, go ahead.
And I was, like I said, I haven't heard any music. I think I played one of your songs. Mm-hmm. But has anybody ever came to you and said, "Oh, you sound like"?
Mm-hmm. All the time. I'll let you play it and then I'll tell you what they say.
Okay. So what we'll do is we'll play this song and then we'll come back.
What song we playing?
Sexy with it.
Hey, now you gotta turn it up too.
Of course.
Because I like this song. You good?
Yeah. It's starting to get in my chest.
So here is Sexy With It.
All right, Hard Body Radio.
Yeah.
Your girl Lisa, the Baltimore Paparazzi, in the spotlight.
Oh,
that's not it. There we go.
There you go.
Over in the corner, with your friends. Watch me, watch you. What did they say? All the celebrate
There's something for you.
all night long, I've been waiting patiently until I get so good. We've been flirting kinda heavy, so the urge is strong. Ooh, and we can dim the lights and do everything you like. This is
Okay, in the spotlight with your girl Lisa, the Baltimore Paparazzi, Hard Body Radio. That was Sexy with It, J. Esquire.
Yeah.
I like the fact that the beat didn't overpower your singing. You know what I mean? Like the beat was simple. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like you could concentrate, because like I hate listening to music and I'm concentrating more on the beat itself than the words or you know. So yeah. But I was trying to compare you to somebody while listening to that. The only person that kind of I even thought of was Sean Webb from here in Baltimore.
Okay.
You got that same kind of feel as far as
your
your
Jersey Sean?
Yeah.
Ha! You know what? That's so funny. Me and him did a show the other night together, and I just talked to him maybe 2 hours ago.
We
just met. We actually just met.
It's just something about
and that's his favorite song on the album.
There's something about the way your projection, and it just put me in mind of Sean. I met him a few years ago at 5 Seasons.
Is that a good thing?
Yes, because I absolutely adore him.
Let me tell you what's crazy. He has started following me on Instagram maybe a month ago, a couple weeks now, right? So, and I looked at his videos and I'm like, well, this guy's just dope. You know, I really like him. I kept watching. And so when we go to do the show the other day, shout out to my homegirl, the V Mix. She had like a mixer, and we were both on it. So we got there early, both of us, and I walked over to him and I said, hey, I know who you are. And he's like, yeah, J. Esquire. I'm like, yeah. He's like, bruh. He said, when you were on the V Mix show, I liked what you did so much, and I sung on the air. He's like, I started to come to her show and battle you. Because he was like, I love what you do. He was like, I sat and listened to the whole show while you were on it. I love what you do. I love what you stand for. Let's get it. And so I gave him a copy of the album. He goes out back at the show before we go and listens to the whole album. And he takes notes and he's like, I love what you do. So we're talking about some things now. So.
Yeah, I met him. It was when I stopped doing my In the Spotlight showcases.
Okay.
My partners had took over and started doing Blaze the Stage.
Okay.
And I met Sean through that, and he got on stage and he just blew me away. And when I had a car that had a CD player in it, his CD was one of the ones I kept in my car.
Okay.
And yeah, and that's why I was sitting there, I was like, he sounds a little bit like Sean.
Yeah.
He sounds a little bit like Sean. Like, just the way, I mean, it's just the projection and, yeah. So, and that is a compliment. Because like I said, I adore I mean,
Sean. I've gotten all kinds of people, though. Because I didn't want to tell you and then you listen for that. You feel what I'm saying? Like, if you were like, hey, people say I sound like Bahamadia, I don't want to try to find the Bahamadia in you. I want to be like, you sound like Bahamadia. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I mean, I've gotten Dave Hollister, I've got Jaheim, I've got, like when I do runs and all that other stuff, you get the comparisons to like Drew Hill and stuff like that. But yeah, I've gotten a few.
Yeah, I could hear the Dave Hollister too. Now that you say something, yeah, Dave Hollister, yeah.
Super dope.
Very, very, very.
So if you compare me to these people, I'll take it. Thank you. Cause
like I said, like I was sitting there, I was like, he sounds a little bit like Sean. I was like, yeah.
We did this. We went back to back from each other almost. So it was probably almost like they were hearing the same guy sing twice. So same reactions, everything.
Right.
We literally got like.
Well, I think because we're so bombarded with hip hop right now, that, you know, there's really, that's why I said I really don't hear, like when I go to shows, I like to see a variety of things, but you really don't anymore. I know Billy Live and Wisdom Court are trying to bring back he used to do a show called Concrete Love, R&B. So I think he's trying to bring that back. So, but that was like the extent of R&B that from the local underground that I've ever experienced. Like I said, artists like Rob Seven.
Yeah, I know Rob too.
I love Rob. Rob got upset with me at my last birthday party because I let Kelly sing Happy Birthday to me, and Rob wanted to sing Happy Birthday to me. But Rob got to sing Happy Birthday to me at my last birthday party.
I saw me and Rob were on the show together. I think like this time last year. We've been on a few shows together, so yeah, shout outs to Rob.
Yeah, I absolutely love Rob. Rob's got a the Worst remix that he did by Janae.
Oh yeah.
That is like one of my favorite.
Word.
My favorite remixes by him. Like it's on my phone.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, that stays on my phone.
That's awesome.
And he's got a song that he did with Baltimore Big Steve called "You," also one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, I remember that.
You know,
I remember when he did that. I mean, he told me he was doing that. So,
yeah. So that's another one of like my favorite songs by him.
Me and Rob started out at the same time. We used to both be doing shows at I want to say it was at like the Fish Head Cantina. I think me and him, we were on a couple of shows together. And Rob, if he thinks that you can sing, he shows a lot of respect. So me not knowing him and him being excited, he just popped out of nowhere, and I'm like, what is this guy? And we used to talk. Me and him used to talk every day. And this is probably maybe in 2009, 2010.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm surprised that we have not crossed paths before. Like I said, I could understand if I was at a show and it was a hip hop artist, because I'm always so saturated with hip hop artists. But usually, like an R&B artist, they kind of stick with you because they're rare.
Right. Well, I'm here now.
Right. Right. It's like I said, like when I noticed, I was like, he's friends with them. He's friends with. Well, how come we never crossed paths? Like, I actually did that one night. Like I said, I used to have a showcase called In the Spotlight. And a friend of mine, one of the guys, he was part of a group, and he was like, hey, my wife wants to get on the show. I was like, okay. And he was like, and her cousin wants to get on the show too. I was like, fine. Anybody who wants to get on the show can get on the show. You know, here's the requirements, that's it. So his wife gets on stage and she's performing. She's phenomenal. I really loved her. Then when her cousin gets on stage, when her cousin gets off stage, I'm like, where the hell have you been? Like, she just she just took over the stage. Come to find out, she's been doing this. She knows a lot of the same people that I know. She's worked with producers that I know. Like, I'm just like,
I think that's the beautiful part of it. I mean, it's all great. You have the people that you get to watch grow, and you get the people like myself that pop up and they're groomed and they're ready.
Right.
But just like I said, you never know what the process was. I mean, I did more traveling. I used to be in the singing group. We were called Black Harmony. I'm still in the group. And at that time, when you were doing shows and stuff, groups were like null and void. So people didn't want to put us on anything. Managers didn't. They would love us and they'd be like, that's dope, but nobody wants to hear that anymore. No one wants to hear you. You guys don't have records with auto-tune? No, it's the same. Y'all are Owen and I, and what are these runs and stop all of that. All that stuff you heard me doing, they hated it after a while. So I literally was like, okay, we can either become everything everyone else thinks that we should be, or we can get low, grow up, develop, come back and be who we want to be.
Right.
We know we've always gonna be. And I chose B. I chose B. I chose B.
And that's the way, like I said, I think that even though some people may have the ability or have been given the, what do I want to say, like A&Rs. People say that, this person's an A&R and they know what to look for in talent. That may be, but at the same time, you know what you're capable of doing. You know what you're capable of.
That part. And you know, and around that time, everybody was becoming a know-it-all in an industry inside of like, I managed, like, somebody could manage someone, and because they felt like, hey, I know Nokio from Drew Hill, I can tell you what you're supposed to be. And it's like, okay, are you doing this because these are Nokio's expectations, or because you've seen it work for them, you think that that is the only way it's supposed to be?
Right.
And I went through a lot of that, and it made me, at one point, I just wanted to be a songwriter, because I'm like, I won't have to deal with you guys.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't want to have to get to the point where I'm putting hands on people, because you're trying to convince me that I'm not good enough because I don't meet these standards, or because, you know, maybe I exceed them, or maybe I need to, you think like you need to tone that down, or you're not enough of this, and too much. Like, you can't tell me that.
See, and that's like with me, I've had people tell me, oh, Lisa, I have an idea for a radio show for you. I'm like, I already have a radio show.
Good.
And it works.
And you know, and that was the beauty in, you know, with me and Sean. We literally just sat on the phone for 2 hours, and well, not 2 hours, like 2 hours ago, and just praised each other. Because that's rare.
Right.
And number two, we didn't, when he played me stuff, I didn't say you should sing like this. Because he was playing me, y'all wait till you hear the album, but he was playing me stuff like, yo, Jay, what you think of this? And I just met him.
Right.
And it wasn't like you should do it like, it was like, yo, that's money, yo, when you add to it, when you do what you're going to do to it, it's going to be dope. And it might have been him like, what should I add? If he didn't, what's up, bro?
That's the owner of Hard Body Radio.
What's good, my brother? How you feeling? I'm J.S. Squire. Nice to meet you, man. And it wasn't like you should do this.
Right,
because it worked for me. It was like me, and then he said to me, you know, let's collab. And my whole thought is, what works for him?
Right.
Who is he? What does he do? And he broke that down for me. So now we got to understand it. You know, and he actually broke my whole album down. He called me like, yo, this A, B, C, and D. You know, and that's the way it should be. And that, and here comes the independent mind frame when you go through that, because now you're like, I know who I am, I know how good I am, I know what I'm capable of. You guys don't like it, cool. I'm gonna find another way to do it.
Right.
You know, and I've worked my plan for a long time, and I had this in mind. You know, I had this album.
Now, what I find crazy about this album cover, when did this idea?
Before the movie came out.
You know where I was going with it, don't you? You know where I was going with it.
You know that? You know what's crazy? The day the album came out, I think the movie came May 4th, and this became a meme.
I seen that.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, hold up.
So this is what happened. So we take the picture, right? And, you know, shout out to my man Joe Steve. He took the picture and designed the graphic. My homegirl, Cassandra Shields, did the graphics on it. But my man did the picture and the little cut up part to it, right? So I posted, you know, for the, you know, the album release, you know, get ready, whatever it said.
Right.
And this chick that I don't know from anywhere is like, you must be Thanos or something like that. And I'm like,
who?
I don't know what you talking about.
Right.
So then the day the album comes out, I start seeing people posting pictures with the, and I'm like, looks familiar, and I'm thinking like, oh, they rocking with the cover. And then I looked on Twitter, and my man Jakes, I think, had reposted the meme, and I'm like, what? And then somebody was like, I saw the Avengers movie, and someone disintegrated like your album cover, and I shot that cover before the movie was out. So it was like, we could be on to something.
Right.
Yeah.
Because my whole thing is, I don't believe in coincidences, and everything happens for a reason in life. Good, bad, or indifferent.
It is written.
And, you know, and no matter, like, this week has been really bad for me. Not only for me getting sick like this, but Wednesday was my wedding anniversary, and Friday was the anniversary he died. He died 2 days after our but he had been sick, and it's been 13 years. but it still affects me like it was that,
Yeah,
you know,
why not?
just like it just happened. So, you know, even with that happening, that I had to understand that everything happens for a purpose and a reason. Like I said, good, bad, or indifferent, then there are no coincidences. When things happen like this, it's not a coincidence.
No. And you know what? Even if I would have, now that I'm thinking about it, even if it had inspired me, that'd be a dope inspiration. You know,
Right.
I could have easily been like, I was a fan of the movie, but
Right.
so you can go back and look and say, man, that album shot that before the movie came out.
Right.
So,
That's why when I seen this, when I seen it online, when I seen the picture online, and I was like, wow. And then I kept seeing the you know, because I haven't seen the movie either, but you know, I kept seeing the memes, and you know, especially with the memes with Drake,
yeah.
you know, and everything. But that's why I was like, that happened for a reason.
Yeah. We were in Miami a few weeks ago, and I literally, when we were showing people, you know, we were promoting it, people were like, I seen this cover already. You're that guy? Oh my God, I already seen your cover. So, hey, listen.
Right. That's why I said everything happens for a purpose and a reason.
Everything.
So, play another song because it's, about that time.
Right.
What is this? More?
Yeah. Featuring my man J Law, produced by my man Jates. Shout outs to them, my brothers. Song, I think we made like it was just a perfect combination. 3 J's, J Esquire, J Law, Jates.
Wow.
Bam.
See, that's what I said. Everything happens for a purpose. So we're going to listen to this, and then we're going to come back, talk a little bit more, and
get it more. Talk a little bit more.
See, yeah. I usually do puns like that all the time. Be like, you see what I did right there? But like I said, my head is so clogged up right now.
I got you.
So we're gonna stay tuned, take a listen, and then we'll come back. Hard Body Radio in the spotlight. Your girl Lisa, the Baltimore Paparazzi, J Esquire, and his beautiful 2 daughters sitting over here in the corner. So we'll be right back. I got good impression.
tossing and legs shaking. She see the stick and get the point, that's an exclamation. The best intention when we freaking and we go mad. We maximize the sex drive till we go crash. See, I couldn't wait to bump her. Now she want jig in her face like a tomato jumper. I knew it was a long shot, like shooting from half court. Gave her this long song, now she crying for back support. She do me and then I do her like she passed the torch. I told her this was just a trial, like we brought the court. I got second winning, we going in extra innings. And that's what work like a second engine. I told her it was all love, like a set of tennis. Then I put my foot on in a box like a set of tennis.
It's those little things you do, got me running back to you, got me all beside myself. I don't want nobody else. I won't ever leave your side. Cross my heart and hope to die. Love you to infinity, baby. Don't you ever leave.
In the spotlight, Baltimore Paparazzi, your girl Lisa, Hard Body Radio. Yo, I'm loving. It's something about these beats that you're choosing too. Like, they're complex, but they're simple. You know, it's not anything overly dramatic.
Less is more.
Right.
And it gives me an opportunity to be vocally flexible.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not competing with a sound on the record. You know
right.
What I mean? And I can write in between, you know, the chords and, you know, find nuances to sing and stuff like that. And I'm a harmony guy, so I like background vocals, I like harmonies, and I love ad-libs. So I need to be able to express myself through those things.
Right.
Because the verses are just verses. Those are the singing, you following the melody, and you're getting it so everybody can sing the song, but then you gotta add your little flavor, a little more to it. So.
Right.
You like it?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I missed a little bit of it because I had to go to the restroom, but
play it
back. I had an artist in here who's also a producer, and he told me, like, every time I would say something, he'd be like, bars. He was like, Lisa, you got bars. And I was like, no, I don't. He said, I bet you got a whole EP in your head. Then I had a producer tell me, because we have an ongoing joke about cowbell. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it was an episode of Saturday Night Live when Will Ferrell was on there, Christopher Walken was on there, and they were impersonating Blue Oyster Cult. And it was like, more cowbell. So that was been an ongoing thing between me and her, Mistress Beats. So I told her, I had made a status one night, I said, I was in the car and I was listening, I said, they must have been like in the 70s, cowbell was the thing to use as percussion. She was like, if you can hear a cowbell in a song, you can make beats. She said, Lisa, I bet you can make beats. I said, so now I got this one over here telling me I can write an EP at least. And now you're telling me I can make beats.
Regular Kanye.
I was like, don't put that pressure on me. But I listen, I'm a person that I listen to a lot of different, that's why I say when I listen to music, I know I miss something every time. So I listen to songs repeatedly. I miss words, I miss metaphors, I miss...
Everyone does.
You know...
You gotta live with it.
You know...
You gotta live with an album. You know what I mean? And be like, okay, I didn't notice that at first. Right. Like with KOD, like with the J. Cole album, I'm still playing that. And every time I hear it, it's like, right. I get it. Yeah, it's like that. So, and then, but you're right, there was a cowbell in that song. Right. True story, when we were mixing the song, me and my man Mike Potter, when we were mixing it, we got to J. Law's part. My engineer is such a let me tell you about him. He's an older guy, older gentleman, older white guy. And he used to work for NASA. He ended up owning a recording studio called Orion. Okay. And so his studio almost looks like Motown. Every time I walk in there, it's like Motown. Is this in is it in like an industrial park? It's in an industrial park. I've been there. Yeah. One side is a studio, one side is a rehearsal studio. Yeah. Yeah.
I've been there, but I haven't been to the studio part. I've been there because we did, Voice did a,
You know Voice?
yes.
I'm on her,
Pay It Forward?
I'm on the joint,
Oh, okay.
I'm the one that sings, love if you can hear me, I was wrong.
Okay.
So wrong. Was love if you can feel me, please come home. Never sung it again. Come home. Never heard it until she recorded her vocals. I did my parts and she said thank you. I left and then she's like, oh, you on my record. So
She did a.
people smiling, by the way.
Yeah.
Shout out to
She did a, I don't know what it was. It was a show kind of, and we were there, and I was like, where is this place at? It was it's like an industrial park. It's like, yeah, but that's why when you said Orion, I was like, Orion, I remember hearing that.
I've been going there for like 11 years.
Oh,
Not
okay.
recording my album for 11 years,
But yeah.
I loved it so much because what happened was when I was in my group, we were trying to find a rehearsal studio that we could rent. So we went there and he shows us around, like, cool. I said, I also have a recording studio. And I'm like, when we go in, we walk in, it's like this live room. And it looks like Motown. It looks like you could put the band in this room. You could do illustrations in this room, and he's ready for all of that. And then I just was immersed in the energy of it, and then he was actually working on the board. And there was I'll never forget it. There was a band. I'm not even gonna say their names because I don't know what they're doing now. But they were in there for weekend sessions. So he said, "You guys watch me record, so you see if you like it and all that." And I was watching him work the boards, and I watched how much he cared about it. It wasn't just like, all right, do what you do. He's like, wait a minute, let me get that kick.
Right.
Wait a minute, hey, can you hit the snare for me? Test that guitar. Let me hear it on this preamp. He's setting his amps and all of that. So everybody I was writing for, I was sending them to him.
Right.
So then that made me look good, and I would go to him and do my vocal production with other people. I would sing hooks and record there, and he records so well that the way that you hear the vocals, it doesn't take a lot of EQing. First of all, I don't need pitch correction and all of that, so it's good. But his EQing is like the way that you're hearing it is almost how it sounds when we record it. So when we were recording more, he got J-Law. This is months after we recorded it, and we were mixing it. And J-Law's voice and that cowbell fought for all of life, and the snare, that all of them are hitting that. Like it's a poem. He's like, I knew it was a long shot, like shooting from half court, and all of the sample drops out. It's hard. The least amount of music you have is harder to mix the song.
Right.
Because you don't know what's supposed to be what. Like, so you got him, the snare, and the cowbell. And then we had turned the cowbell down, and we were like, more cowbell. No more cowbell. No more cowbell. Like more of it, more. And we finally got a balance. It took us to mix that song 6 times.
Oh my.
Till it sounded like that. Because then we had to like put the whole track back together. But every time I hear the cowbell in that breakdown, I think of the frustration of the fight between J-Law, a snare drum, and a kick, and a cowbell. I'll never forget that. I tell him that story every time we talk about it. Because he wasn't there. You know, I was like, yo, you and this cowbell and this snare. Like, I've never seen tracks fight for attention like that ever in my life. It was like, pick me, pick me, pick me. So you saying cowbell made me think of that.
Right.
We had to actually panic, so he had attention still. So.
See, that's like I said, I've been around music for so long that, you know, I know a little about a lot of things. Like you talked about, you know, growing up, music was in your house. You know, music was in, you know, my house as well. That's why I love music. And, you know, I hear people say, well, I don't like this type of music. And I'm like, well, how can you say you're a lover of music if you don't embrace different genres? Because everything plays off of everything else. Because I keep saying, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take like a heavy metal song and take the words, and I'm gonna post the words up and see if people realize that it's a heavy metal song. Because without the music, you know, are you going to be able to tell what genre of music this is? So growing up, we had country music playing in the house. My mom sounded just like Tammy Wynette singing. She sounded just like her.
Wow.
You know, Conway Twitty, you know, mom was always playing country music. Dad was always playing rock and roll. You know, it was 50s, 60s, 70s rock was playing, and, you know, Dad was always playing that. I lived in the country, so whenever we would go somewhere, they're playing bluegrass. You know, so I had all these different, you know, genres of music around me. And then the first time I heard Sugar Hill Gang, what is this? And I was hooked because it was something that was so different, you know. So I think people don't realize when you instill music in a child, like you're playing music around a child, that it influences them.
And you know what? And that's so true, because that made me think about how, you know, you just said you don't believe in coincidences, right? I'm the same way. My parents broke up when I was 2. They remained friends. My dad was a singer. He sang in this group from Baltimore called the Soft Tones. Very big group in Baltimore in the 70s. And matter of fact, you know Big Crit, right? You ever heard the song called "Return of Forever" by him?
Probably.
Refrain for being lame is the return of forever, forever.
Yeah,
ever.
I probably have the album.
The sample is my father singing.
Oh, okay.
And AZ also has a song with my dad's voice sample. A lot of people have sampled them. And so what ended up happening was I lived with my mother primarily, right? So when we lived with my grandmother, my grandfather and my uncle all at the same time. So my mother would, when I would be in bed, my mother would be downstairs listening to Anita Baker. And I mean, this is when Rapture came out.
Right.
And, you know, she'd be listening to Phyllis Hyman. She'd be listening to New Edition. We go to my aunt's house, she's playing Luther, Roy Ayers, all these great artists. I go to my dad's house, he's playing Sam Cooke. He's playing father loves the Temptations. He's playing the Temptations. He's playing Luther, and he's playing Sade, and he's playing salsa music. He's playing classical. He's playing jazz. He's playing rock. And then my mom gets with my stepfather. He was a DJ. He's playing club music, house music. He's playing the dopest hip hop. I mean, I didn't know he showed me who Gangstar was. I'm 7 years old. I know who Gangstar is. You know, he's also playing Stevie Wonder, You Got It Bad Girl. And he's playing Tevin Campbell. You know, he was the first person I knew who owned What's the 411. Right. And he was the first person I knew with Ready to Die by Biggie, which is the album that made me like hip hop is amazing. Right. So all of those relationships that they had, they didn't realize that it was creating in me an artist. Like my father was detailed on music and how it goes and writing and vocal arrangements and all that. My stepfather was big on sound. Your treble, your bass had to sit a certain kind of way. His EQing was amazing, and he didn't know nothing about studio engineering. Right. But he was super dope, and he showed me how to edit tapes, how to, you know, like cut a song short if you wanted to, how to when the song fade out, how to not make it so you can hear the tape stop and all that other stuff. I mean, I'm 10 years old editing tapes. So those instances, literally, we come back around to this. They are all. I am a descendant of all of their tastes. Right. More than anything, they are the people who inspire me the most. You know what I'm saying? So I can remember going to Shake and Bake as a kid and saying, if they played your record at Shake and Bake, you made it. I didn't know about platinum, gold, Billboard charts. If they played your record at Shake and Bake, you must be on. The whole world has to be listening. So that was the influence for me as far as like versatility and, you know,
So did your parents and all, did they realize that early on that this was the path that you were going to go, or because it seems like they supported you? Have they supported you in?
Yeah, well, my mother wasn't a big fan of it. She actually was just like, "You're an okay singer." Back then, she was like, "Yeah, okay."
Was she afraid that you were going to try to follow your father's footsteps?
But once she heard this, she's like, "You're amazing." But she saw the pitfalls of it,
right?
So she knew. She's like, "Oh no, not you."
She's trying to be a
can't
mother.
tell your father what to do, but I can't. But my father's like, "Okay, cool. Listen, this is what you want to do, cool. But this is how you have to do it.
Right.
You cannot do it like I did it.
Right.
You have to do this. Singing is good. You can sing great, bravo. But you have to be a songwriter, producer, and you got to learn. You better learn the business." I mean, my father was making me read about contracts at 13, 14 years old.
See, and that's where I think that you've had the blessing in that, because when I came in to, like I said, when I came in the music scene, 2006, July 2006, I remember, and I started listening to underground artists on a Blog Talk radio show in 2007, and then by 2008 I started going to shows.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to tell everybody, you need to get your BMI, your ASCAP, you need to get your publishing, you need to have all these things in order. You can't just be out here putting your music out on MySpace and not have anything copywritten, not have anything, you know, and people are just looking at me like I'm crazy.
My father made me get publishing right out of high school.
Right.
Because what happened was I was in a group we were called Diverse, and my senior year we had a deal, an offer with this upstart label here, and they were trying to work through Sony. Mm-hmm. And so they were going to sign us, they heard us over the phone.
Wow.
And they were going to sign us. I went, being the leader of the group, I went to pick up our contracts from the mall on Thanksgiving Day. My mother dropped me off at the mall, and I sat there, and she came back maybe 2 hours later or something and got me. And I gave my father the contract. I'm walking around in 12th grade with contracts in my book bag. So we're all excited, and my father said, "Don't touch it until I get it read."
Right.
It's a read, and it's like, "Son, good news is it's a record contract. Bad news is they're gonna own you." So
right.
What do you mean? And he had it looked over, and then he had them tell him what it was, so he did the breakdowns for us, and they were gonna own my songs that I wrote. And I'm like, they can't do that. He was like, "Yes,
they can. If you sign
it, it's over."
Right.
So he was very very motivational in that area. Like, I was so young, he actually had to co-sign my BMI contract. Back then, before it was online, they had to mail it to you.
Right.
And you had to look over the agreement and say, "I agree." So it was my name and his on my contract.
And like I said, there's a lot of people that didn't know anything about that. Like, they really just did not know any part of the business.
No.
And I had one of the guys who'd been, you know, he'd been on BET, and you know, and he had music, and he was talking to me one day. He was like, I'm talking to him. He was like, "You're a prophet." I said, "No." He said, "You know more about this music business than you're like." No, and I said, "I don't know anything." So we're talking. I said, "All right, let me tell you." I said, I went to college for general business, marketing and advertising. I said, this hip hop scene is nothing but a business. You got to market and advertise. Same as if I was out here marketing and advertising a barbecue sauce, or, you know, or a business.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Exactly.
Same template. But these people didn't understand that. And come to present day, and the Creek Boys? They did a deal, or they signed with somebody, And after they signed, they told them they had to change a line in their hook. That was part of the, you know, in their you know, in order for them to get that song mainstream, they had to take out about Baltimore and the N-word. I think it was like something about they're dying, something about dying every day in Baltimore or something, whatever it was in that hook. But they took that out, re-recorded the song, and redid a video for the song. And I'm like, I guess they thought that was a good idea. To me, I'm such an individual, and this is my music, and this is the way I wrote it. Why am I having to change it? I'm such a I'm a rebel when it comes to stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not in their shoes, but me, I don't think that I would have gone that route.
But see, I think that you came in it from a different perspective, because as an artist, especially in those times, you thought that all you had to do was be an artist. These labels, they were going to do everything else for you.
Right.
You become rich and live happily ever after. But you didn't know that there were things that you had to do when you got signed. You had to, you know, certain hands you had to, you know, shake,
right.
And butt you had to kiss, and things of that nature. And then there were no guarantees. But nobody knew that, because
right. Everybody
that you loved was on. So you didn't know about no one knows about the guy that was just as good as Jordan. You only know about Michael Jordan.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? So you don't know the guy that was as good as Jay-Z that didn't get on, but Jay-Z got on. So it depends on the game that you want to play, and you know how important is it for you to play that game.
Right.
So that was a lot of it.
It's like Comp has a project at Def Jam that will
never forget that. I know.
That will never be released. It's sit up on a shelf somewhere.
Yep.
You know, so you know, I was like,
you know who else has one there too? Drew Hill. Never came out.
You know, it's just the more you learn about business, you know what I mean, and a lot of, like I said, there's still some of these younger kids that are, you know, oh, I can rap, and they rapping and they putting it up on YouTube and IG, and they're doing all this, but they don't know, they still don't know what a BMI, ASCAP, they don't know about publishing, they don't know the business side of it, because
they also don't know the allure of it either, because it's all psychological as well. Like, a lot of people do like the singing videos. That's great. They get you followers, right? And then what? Where's the record? Where's the mystery? I see you every single day singing a new song. What else do you do?
Right.
You do nothing? Okay. I'm uninterested until you do a video. I'm not even going to go on your page and like anything. I just like the video sometimes, maybe. But for me, I think that I never wanted to be the guy who had to look like I was hustling to do it. You know what I mean? I wanted it to be a thing where it's like, wait, I love what you do, where'd you come from?
Right.
So I was studying it, you know, long before I was even able to understand what my music was gonna be, you know. And I think that people need to understand what the mystique and the allure of it should be to help them become successful too. Like, this album sold out in 4 days. This is a new shipment that you're seeing. It sold out in 4 days. I didn't know. Then we got it on. Then the next week it went digital, and within 3 days, 5 songs had over, I don't know, like 2,000-3,000 streams a piece.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
I was about to ask you, because I know you have the hard copies. I was going to ask you if it was on digital as well.
Tidal, iTunes, Apple Music, Google Play, you name it, it's there.
Just got Google.
And it's coming on vinyl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they just sent me an
I've noticed Dirt Platoon was the first artist that I seen put their work on vinyl in a very, very long time. As far as like
independent.
Yeah.
Well, I've always wanted. That's always been a dream of mine. I have an album.
Well, you said you collect.
Correct.
You're a collector.
So. But yeah, I mean, Everything is on vinyl. Vinyl is fashion now. I was collecting it in high school because I used to DJ little parties with my friends. So it was just regular to us, you know, but
Right.
it was special to me, you know what I mean? I was still fascinated by the spin and you could touch it. But they just sent me what's called the acetates of the album on vinyl 3 weeks ago. So yeah, that was a big deal. That was probably bigger than the release.
Right. I was gonna say it probably made your day more than being sold out and everything
Yeah,
else.
it really did. It really did.
Well, if you ever get to New Orleans, go to Peaches
Okay.
because that is a record shop. Peaches. You go in there and it's just like wow. That's where I met David Banner and everybody. She also is the one who helped No Limit and Cash Money get all their scans when they first came out. Yeah, so she's been doing a lot.
I'm gonna have to fly down there just to meet her.
Mother Peaches is wonderful. She's a crazy lady, let me tell you. When we walked in June, she was like, "It's so good to see you." I'm like, I know this lady don't remember us from back in February. I know she doesn't remember us, but she's just one of those people. And it's like vinyl, rows and rows and rows and rows of vinyl. Then in the back, it's got the 45s.
I love it.
Yeah.
I am still fascinated by it. I know how it's made and everything, but it's still special. Like opening that acetate, which is, you know what those are? They're like they call them reference discs. So they're vinyl, but they're like really heavy and thick, but they're only one-sided. So like for my album, they had to send me two. They sent me 5 on one, 5 on the other. So side A is on one record, side B is on another one. And just that moment, that was not real far away from watching my kids be born. It was that amazing to me. But I'm trying to get it there too. Like, I mean, I started my own label, which is what this album is on. It's called New Legend Recordings. And it's about making a statement for me too. You know what I mean? Like, just like you said, like gone are the days of the CD with the markers written on the
Right.
I understood it, but I tell you, to me, from I'm gonna say from like 05 to like 2011 was probably the weirdest era in music that I've ever seen. This is strange, and everybody's, you know, nobody's getting record deals, so everybody's trying to figure out how to be independent, and you gotta, and then they're like, oh, you gotta be on Reverb Nation, you gotta be doing this, and I never liked to be told what I had to be doing. Right. Because I felt like, and if I don't, then what? Right. I don't really care. So it's always been, this to me is the statement that it can be done your way. Right. You know what I mean? It can be done your way. So
I'm a big advocate. I always have been, even back in the early days of being in the scene. I used to tell people all the time, you can do this independently. You can do this independently. You don't need to go and get a record deal where you got to pay all that money back that you're getting. Because what you're going to do, what you're going to do is you're going to have to pay that money back, but you're going to have to be on the road 360 days out of a year in order to make any kind of money. And I understood that way back then. And I think that's one reason why Tech Nine has been one of my favorite artists.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because of his independent label, his you know, he was like, I was signed, but they didn't know what to do with me. They didn't know where to market me. They didn't know where to put me. They didn't know, you know, they wanted me to do this, that, and the third, and I wanted to do this. Mm-hmm. And now, you know, Forbes list, you know, him and Travis O'Gwen, who's the CEO of Strange Music, have just added a new division of Strange Music, which is geared towards the pop culture because of Travis's daughter, Mackenzie Nicole, who is phenomenal. I love her. I think she's a very talented young woman. Then they got, you know, they got the rock part of it, you know, because Tech Nine is, you can't put Tech Nine as this kind of an artist. You can't pigeonhole him. And him being able to do it, yeah, they had money because Travis had backed him, but it can be done. You have to invest in yourself, and that's like with you starting the label. you're investing in yourself as well as anybody who comes under you. So that's what you're doing, is you're investing. This right here, like I said, when you handed it to me, I was like, wait a minute, hold up. It's nothing like I've seen from an independent underground artist. Nothing. I'm used to the plastic case, opening it up. You know, the CD might have something on it, but nobody has gone to that level that I have seen. So that right there shows me that, for one, you're serious about what you do, and this is a reflection of you. You know what I mean? That's why I said, gone are the days of handing somebody a CD in the paper case with black magic marker with the name and on there. That shouldn't even be a thought. But there's still people out there doing that.
Yeah, I wanted to also make the statement that I think that the music makes. I think that the artwork is just as good as the album.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm really just glad that you like it, because I can tell that you don't play no games.
I don't.
And I love that.
That's why I say, like, when I listen to music, it'd be easy for me to listen to it and then come in here and be, I can't be fake and phony. It's impossible for me to be fake and phony.
But you probably wouldn't have certain people on the show had you listened to it first.
Right. And my show has always been, even my showcase has been all about giving people a platform. It's not my place to say that you suck, that you're, or whatever. It's not my place. My place is to be able to give people a platform. Like, I used to tell people all the time when I did my show, you got to go up there and stand in front of people. You got to win that crowd over. I'm giving you a platform and a stage to be able to do what you do. Because people are like, oh, Lisa, so-and-so, they're whack. They may be whack to you, but they're not whack to them people. It's not my place to say that. That's like people want to get on the show. It's not very hard. Just tell me, these are the days. These are the days I have. Are you going to go? Are you going to come? The next 2 Saturdays I'll be broadcasting. Well, next Saturday I'm supposed to be broadcasting live from Howard County Fairgrounds. Wisdom Court has a summer jam down there from 3 o'clock.
Oh, word.
It's all ages. It's a festival, whatever. And I'm going to, after I get off of work, I'm going down there to broadcast. And then the Saturday after, I'll be in Reading, Pennsylvania for Autism Speaks event.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so I'll be up there.
That's really beautiful.
And I'll be broadcasting live.
That's exciting, right?
It's going to be something. I'll be up there all day. I've been Reading. That starts at 3 o'clock too. Because from 3 until, I forget what it is, 3 until something is for kids. Like, it's got to be clean music. And then afterwards it's, adults. So, but that's, I have a guy, Jason, who brings down Pennsylvania artists every month.
Okay.
He brings them down here and I interview them. And I've never been disappointed. Never been disappointed. So, yeah, there's a lot of talented people out here.
It's 8 billion people in the world. So,
right.
It's a lot of people. The question is, what makes it? The older I get and the more that I sit back and look at things, I look at things like, there are people that are amazing singers but they're not artists.
Right.
They can't make a record. I mean, you look at certain rappers, when they battle, it's amazing. Man, they come out with a record, you like.
Oh, I've said that plenty of times.
Like,
I've said that plenty of times because I've been in, I don't watch battles, but because I've been a part of pit fights, battle league.
Shout out to Shaka Pitts too.
I've been a part of. I have been a part of that for so long that I've gotten to see these battlers, and they'd be like fierce in a battle, just fierce. And then I hear a song and be like, "What happened?" But then I hear people who make awesome songs and can't battle worth it. I'll be like,
you know what? It's crazy. When I first started, I was like dope live, and then you would hear my recordings and it would be like, that's you? Like, but you're singing off key. How is that you? But you killed that show. I didn't know how to record.
oh,
So sometimes people do have to be groomed
right.
to get there, but you gotta have people who are honest and also believe in your development,
Right.
to kind of help you along the way.
Something that you said that I have asked a lot of artists about, and it's the producers or well engineers. When you go into a studio, and when they have when you have you ever in your time going into a studio where the engineers is like, okay, go, all right, and then when you get the song, you're just like, it's like he doesn't really care about what he's doing, because I know you talked about the engineer, and you know he really cares about what's going on. He really cares about what's going on, and you know, because I've heard it in music, because I have an ex who is a rapper, and I listened to a song, and the guy that he was on the song with, the guy's part was awesome, but then when his part came up, it was like, what happened? He didn't do nothing. He didn't, you know, because he didn't. It's like he didn't do anything for his nothing. Have you ever experienced that where it was the engineer that he was just getting paid and that was it?
Maybe once or twice. You know what? But some of that it's a 50-50 thing. It's important that the artist and your team go in and establish.
Yeah.
And establish relationships.
Right.
So you not only do you have to make sure that the artist is comfortable and accommodated, you have to make sure that the engineer is as well. Well, when I worked with my engineer, I would have conversations with him.
Right.
I would stay longer. Like, I was working on an album with this singer named Ebony. Shout out to Ebony. Back in 2008, 2009. And when she would leave, I would stay. And I would even put up some money to finish mixing the song, because I just wanted to be a part of it and
Right.
learn it and everything. Like, and I would just have conversations with him. I would show up before her if I could, and I would play the engineer what I wanted my music to sound like. So he understood, like he would listen. We would sit there for 2-3 hours. I'd be like, what about this? What about that? This is what I like. I like this. This is the thing. You know what I mean? I want my backgrounds to be like this. I want my leads to sit like this. So when it came time to do my album, he knew what mic to use, how to EQ. He knows when it's not the best vocal day for me, or you know, I could be like, what you think? He might be like, oh, that's perfect, or he'd be like, I mean, I'd like the other take a little better, but listen to yourself. You know what I mean? And we go back and forth on that. But that's all in building that relationship. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I sent somebody to a studio one time, and he had that issue. He was like, the engineer didn't say anything. Right. You know, but I was like, but this is your first time there. Like, if I don't know you, it's only a certain amount of honesty I'm gonna feel comfortable. Right. With telling you. But I might be like, you know what? But I'm not gonna be like, yo, that was whack. You could have did so much better. Please don't put this out. You're not gonna say that. Right. But I just think that it's important. But I've seen it. I've heard the results of it in an engineer not caring a trillion times. Right. So. Yeah, because like I've sat in on different studio sessions with different engineers. Mm-hmm. I've been at Street Legal with Mark Carey a few times. Been at ARS. Oh yeah, I've recorded that. I've been there. You know, so I've seen it, and I watch. I don't know what I'm looking at, but I pay attention to what's going on. So I know presets and all like that. So you know, I know how sometimes people sometimes people can just get so complacent in their job that it's just a job.
You know, so, you know, I've heard stories about engineers that, you know, it'd be like, all right, well, here you go.
I like to be like a cross between Jay-Z, Michael Jackson, and Puffy when I'm in the studio. Mike because I'm very detailed, Jay because I'm focused, and I don't write anything down. None of those lyrics are written down on a piece of paper. And Puff because Puff is dramatic and he's gonna bring the best out of a record.
Right.
I'm like that with my engineer. Like if I ain't dancing, or if I'm not dancing, or I'm not commenting when the tape stops, we ain't got it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if I'm dancing or I'm sitting there going, there it is right there, we got it. Or
right.
he feels me behind on one. Right there. We're not even in the ballpark.
Right.
So but that also is to me why it is so important to understand what you're walking into. Because I'm such a nerd at it. I watch this thing called Pensado's Place. This guy named Dave Pensado. He interviews everybody who mixes all of the stuff we like. I listen to what they say, their advice, and how they do stuff. So when I go back to the studio, I'm like, try that. So, but that's just me. That's just me. And it's important having my own label,
right,
and putting up that money for it. That is absolutely right.
Right.
Know? And I mean, even down to mastering, I picked who mastered my album and everything. Very big on that kind of stuff. That's important.
It is.
Because I know people who, they be like, yo, my man recorded and mixed this album. And then
you're like,
it sounds like your man recorded
right.
and mixed this album.
Right. You sure he mixed it?
Right. Like when you say mixed,
what do you mean?
What's a mix to you?
Right.
And like, I mean, all the sounds together. That's true. Do you hear that your vocals are way louder than the beat? I mean, that's how it's supposed to go. Like, I mean, unless you're starting a new thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or did you realize that track 2 comes in at one volume, and track 3 comes in at like volume 12? Right.
It's like, you know, that's not mastered. Or they think because it's louder, it's mastered. That's not true. You can put a mastering process on it, and they'll be like, yo, it's mastered. And you're like, you don't know what to listen for, so you're like, it's loud, it's perfect. You need those dynamics checked. You need those dynamics.
That's why I said people, they need, if they don't know and they don't educate themselves, they need somebody in their corner that's going to mentor them. And have, you know, if you don't know, you need to find out. You either need to go on YouTube and find out, or talk to somebody. You know, that's always been my thing. I'm a type person that if I don't know, I go and look it up. When I see something on when somebody posts something on Facebook, I'll be like, wait a minute.
Google, I'm the Google king.
I will look something up and go on there. Case in point, one of my friends from over across the bridge on Eastern Shore posted up the picture of Whoopi Goldberg with the shirt that had been photoshopped with Donald Trump blowing his brains out. With, you know, it had been photoshopped. So I had to go and find the news story and put it in the comments to let her know that this is not real. Because why? Because she just posted it up because it was against Donald Trump and she wanted to put it out there. And another person commented on there, this is not real. I was like, before I repost anything, if I don't know for sure, I will go and look it up. So just like I have tabs on my computer at home for copyright, trademark, I think BMI is on there. Like, I don't need those things. But I had went and looked those things up and bookmarked them for if somebody needed those things at one point in time. Because you have to educate yourself.
You have to.
And a lot of people don't do that.
Because ain't nobody going to educate you for you.
Right.
You know?
So we're going to listen to this last song that you sent me. Sexy Thing.
Sexy Thing. And at some point, my daughter is going to sit still, like we talked about in the car, correct?
Oh.
That's what we're gonna do.
It gets kind of antsy in here.
I understand, but yeah, this is the adult record right here. Cause you actually played them in the order that they on.
Right, that's the way that they came.
That's awesome. So, you know, those were like the Sexy with It was like the appetizer.
Mm-hmm.
More was the entree. Sexy Things is the dessert.
All right.
So let's get with it.
All right, in the spotlight, Hard Body Radio, Baltimore Paparazzi with Jay Esquire.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. Sometimes that program likes to lock up. This song reminds me a lot of Sean. Videos played for any of these songs?
They coming. We just started working on the treatments for them a couple weeks ago. So,
because that one right there, like I said, I like songs that I can visualize, and like I don't know why I seen like shower scene, like I think it's just that because the sound effect that was in there kind of sounded almost like rain or water kind of dripping down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. And then like you like during in the song, and you can hear you like kind of talking, in the background. So even with my clogged ears, I heard that. But
you like that one?
Yeah, I like that one too. Like I said, I like all of them.
Good.
Like I said, I listen and I visualize. So that right there was like, okay. All right, and I try to. My ears are so clogged up right now. It's crazy.
True story. I wrote that for another artist, and he turned it down at the last minute. And I had recorded it in like no time. The demo to it.
Right.
And then I was hoping he turned it down. Like I'd never been so happy for somebody to not want a record in my life. So as soon as he turned it down, I went and did it over. I finished that song the day Prince died. That and Sexy were done. They were finished that day. And I told my engineer, I remember in the booth, I said, if I don't do these songs right, they don't deserve to come out. My album doesn't deserve to come out.
Right.
That still took almost 2 years for the album to come out, but we were getting to the point by the time we got to that record, those 2 records. But yeah, so I always remember that. If I don't remember anything else about doing those songs. So
see, that's another phenomenal artist that there will never be another one.
No.
Never.
And that's what I want to be. I want to be an artist. There'll never be another.
What you want? Man, I don't know.
It's a human.
It's. I'm not.
Baltimore, is that the Baltimore 6'9"?
I don't.
I don't know. Love, respect. You got the wrong bundle of hair. This is
I can't with you. I can't. I'm too sick to fight with him now.
That's funny.
I can't. I'm too sick to fight with him. If we don't argue every time we see each other, something's just not right. I told him last week I was fighting him because he changed the locks on the back door.
Sometimes that's just people's dynamic.
That's us.
Yeah.
I love him to death. I really do. But I want to fight him sometimes.
Yeah, he got good energy.
He does. He's a good guy.
Word.
He's hyper, super active, ADHD, something, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he got a good heart. But yeah, I'm sorry. That was just like,
All good.
I don't know. I think he was checking on me because it's almost 8:30.
Oh, wow.
It's 8:24.
Woo. That was quick.
That's all the time. I usually go over, but I think Skip might be trying to do a podcast.
Oh, okay.
Skip does podcasts and stuff here. I think on Sundays though. Called No Cut Cards.
Okay.
But sometimes he'll do a little podcast if he wants to talk about something. I don't know.
Okay.
So you got the treatment plans in the works for the videos for them, and it's doing really, really well.
It exceeded anything I thought it would do this soon. So just working it, and I believe in progression. So like we slow walking and letting it grow legs.
Right.
Yeah. So
I think you got the artwork. I'd like to ask you about the title.
Imperfect Gentleman.
Yeah.
It's just me. I'm a good dude. It doesn't mean that. Yes. Thank you. Give it up for Noel. It's just basically saying that I'm a good man. I'm a good person. I have morals and values like everybody else, but I'm flawed as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? And people look at that kind of R&B as flawed at times. Like
Right.
It's not super clean and overly produced. It's raw. It's polished, but it's raw. So that was a play on that as well.
See, I told you I like things that have meaning.
Right.
I hate to ask somebody about something. Like I asked somebody about their name once and it was like,
Yikes.
I was like,
You don't know why your name is that.
but,
Wait till you hear the intro though.
I can imagine.
Wait till you hear that.
Because like when I seen the Imperfect Gentleman, Kevin Gates has a song called Imperfect Perfection. I think that's what it is. And it's like, and that's what like it came. That's why I looked at it. I was like, oh, okay, because it's talking about nobody's perfect, but I'm being perfect to my ability. So. Yeah.
You just be the best person you could possibly be.
Right. So, let everybody know where they can find you, find your music.
Yes, indeed. To get in contact with me, you can reach me on Facebook at JSFireMusic, facebook.com/JSFireMusic. The same with Instagram and Twitter, but it's JESQ_music. on IG and Twitter, JESQ_music. For physical copies of the album, you can reach out to me on any of those, and we can arrange something. I also do PayPal and Cash App. Very important that you know that. And for anyone that wants to stream the album, you can find it on iTunes, Apple Music, Tidal, Spotify, Google Play, all of those sites they have it. So,
all right.
Yeah, we are working. Vinyl coming soon.
There you go.
Hey.
Well, I thank you for coming through. I thank you for hitting me up and asking me about coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
The next time that I have you on here, because I'm sure that I will, hopefully I won't be all clogged up.
You won't be. Maybe I'll be bringing you a plaque too.
All right, there you go.
There it is.
So, like I said, I thank you for coming through Hardbody Radio in the spotlight. I'm getting ready to go home and take some medicine. I can't do it.
Call it a night.
Yes.
I understand.
I got too much to do tomorrow.
But once again, thank you. This was dope. I had a good time. The time flew.
See, it's like I said, it's more like when you have conversations with people, it's so much better. I got compared to Angie Martinez.
Hey, that's a great compliment.
Right. I was like, wow.
It's not a robotic feeling.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's very organic.
And well, I'm going to start doing 2 people at a time again because so many people want to get on the show. But I always like to focus on one person. It's so much easier to focus on one person. But so many people want to get interviews and they don't want to wait 2 months, So I'm going to have to start doing that. But I like the one-on-one kind of feel. And like I said, you look up and it's like 8:30.
Yeah.
So, but I thank everybody for tuning in on Facebook Live, on YouTube, Hardbody Radio, www.hardbody410.com, or the app for your phone. Next week, like I said, I will be at Howard County Fairgrounds. I think it's in West Friendship, Maryland.
Okay. Wherever that is.
Out Howard County somewhere.
Okay.
And then next week, the following week, I'll be up in Reading, Pennsylvania for the Autism Speaks event that Jason had put together. So thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you all next Saturday. Let me find something to play. I don't even know what to play. Here we go. I'm in B City. All right.
All right. You got